My dear Africans, listen to what this Italian lady, this Italian Prime Minister, is telling the world how France has held the 14 French-speaking territories in Africa hostage. Not just the 14 French-speaking territories in Africa, the entire African continent has been held hostage. We are suffering right now because of what France is doing inside this continent, what they are doing in this continent, how they are stealing the resources, how they are choking us to death, how they are making Africa suffer. Listen to what this lady is saying.
They let Emmanuel Macron elect leaders for them, who said at a certain point that they were disgusting, cynic, because they closed their ports. Perfect. This is called the CFA franc. It is the colonial moleta that France prints for 14 African nations, to which it applies seigniorage, and by virtue of which it exploits the resources of this nation. This is a child who works in a gold mine in Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso is one of the poorest nations in the world. For Burkina Faso that has gold, France prints colonial money. In exchange, it demands that 50% of everything that Burkina Faso exports end up in the coffers of the French treasury. The gold that this child crawls into a tunnel to pull out mostly ends up in the coffers of the French state. So the solution is not to take Africans and move them to Europe.
You have watched this lady, how it is very disheartening that a European has to come and lecture us on what France is actually doing in the territory of Africa. And you cannot even see other French-speaking territories saying the same thing. It is very disheartening. We need people who can stand up and tell France right to their face that this is what you're doing in the continent of Africa and we don't want it again. We're so happy that now we have somebody like Ibrahim Traore, like Assimi Goïta, like Abdul Hamani Tiani. These are leaders who are coming up and speaking and telling France right to his face, telling France right to their faces that we don't want you in Africa. We can handle our own resources. We don't want you to come and steal our resources. We don't want you to come and steal our gold. You can imagine that one of the tools that these people are using to enslave Africa, to enslave the 14 French-speaking territories in Africa, is the CFA franc. That is the tool that they have been using since the colonial period. That is the tool they are using till date. Can you imagine that all these 14 French-speaking territories in Africa have to go and deposit 80% of their reserve currency, that means their reserve money, in Paris, under the French Minister of Finance. He's the one controlling their own money, under the French Minister of Finance. He's the one controlling their own money. And if you want to get any access of your own money, if you want to access any part of your money, of that 80% that you have deposited in France, you need to leave your country. For example, if you are in a place like Senegal, if the Senegalese president or the Senegalese people want to access their own money that is in France, what do? They need to write an application. They need to apply to the French Minister of Finance that, please, we beg you, sir, we are begging, can you give us a particular portion of our money so that we can do some development around our country? That is what is happening. That is the enslavement. That is the slavery that France is doing in the continent of Africa. And you can imagine Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. And recently we have Senegal. They are cutting ties with France one and for all. They are doing their best to cut the ties. And we are so happy for these for these four countries. So we are calling on all other French-speaking territories in Africa to follow suit and to detach themselves from France before they can see any kind of meaningful development in their countries. If you're coming across my video for the first time, please take some time out of your busy schedule to press the like button and press the share button. Please comment so that it gets to so many French-speaking territories. It gets to so many of our brothers all over the world. See you in the next video.